I hope you had a good time with the naming of cats. This is our second of the Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. Today we'll be looking at The Old Gumbie Cat by T.S. Elliot. The Old Gumbie Cat. I have a Gumbie cat in mind. Her name is Jenny Annie Dots. Her coat is of the tabby kind, with tiger stripes and leopard spots. All day she sits upon the stair, or on the steps, or on the mat. She sits and sits, and sits and sits, and that's what makes a Gumbie cat. But when the day's hustle and bustle is done, then the Gumbie cat's work is but hardly begun. And when all the family's in bed and asleep, she tucks up her skirts to the basement to creep. She is deeply concerned with the ways of the mice. Their behavior's not good and their manners not nice. So when she has got them all lined up on the matting, she teaches them music, crocheting, and tatting. I have a Gumbie cat in mind. Her name is Jenny Annie Dots. Her equal would be hard to find. She likes the warm and sunny spots. All day she sits beside the hearth, or on the bed, or on my hat. She sits and sits and sits and sits. And that's what makes a Gumbie cat. But when the day's hustle and bustle is done, the Gumbie cat's work is but hardly begun. As she finds that the mice will not ever keep quiet, she is sure it is due to irregular diet. And believing that nothing is done without trying, she sets right to work with her baking and frying. She makes them a mouse cake of bread and dried peas, and a beautiful fry of lean bacon and cheese. I have a Gumbie cat in mind. Her name is Jenny Annie Dots. The curtain cord she likes to wind and tie it into sailor knots. She sits upon the windowsill or anything that's smooth and flat. She sits and sits and sits and sits, and that's what makes a Gumbie cat. But when the day's hustle and bustle is done, then the Gumbie cat's work is but hardly begun. She thinks that the cockroaches just need employment to prevent them from idle and wanton destroyment. So she's formed from that lot of disorderly louts a troop of well-disciplined, helpful Boy Scouts, with a purpose in life and a good deed to do, and she's even created a beetle's tattoo. So for old Gumbie cats, let us now give 3 cheers, on whom well-ordered households depend, it appears. I hope as I was doing the poem, you were following along with some of the special characteristics of the old Gumbie cat. Here you can see that I've listed her name, the type of cat that she is, a tabby, and some of the key characteristics that T.S. Eliot gives us. She is nocturnal. She sleeps during the day and she's active at night. She is orderly and authoritative. She watches over the mice. She wants them to behave appropriately, so she teaches them. She's a teacher. She sleeps in the warm spots. She's a good cook. She likes to fiddle with the curtain cords. And she acts as a police officer for the cockroaches and organizes them into troops. All of these characteristics are very important if we're going to be an illustrator for the story. I'd like you now to take a minute to stop the video and see if you can draw Jenny Annie Dots. Keep in mind these key characteristics that we learned in the story. See if you can draw her so that these characteristics are in your details that you're adding to your Gumbie cat. When you're finished, you can continue the video. First thing is to know what is a tabby. Hopefully you have figured out that she has tiger stripes and leopard spots. A tabby in order to identify it is a coat on the cat, the fur, with a distinctive coat that features stripes, dots, or swirling patterns. Usually, it also comes with an M marked on its forehead. Tabbies are sometimes erroneously assumed to be a cat breed, when in fact, tabby is a pattern, not a breed, and it can be found among many breeds, including mixed breeds or mongrel populations of cats. In this case, you can identify here, this picture, there are the tiger stripes, there are some leopard spots, and there you can just see the M on the forehead of this cat. Many artists have depicted Jenny Annie dots over the year. I have selected several for us to look at today. And I want you to consider, based on the poem, why you think an artist might decide to draw Jenny Annie dots as heavy or fat. Is there something in the words of the poem that T.S. Eliot gives us that might indicate that she would be a little bit heavy or that she would get fat? In these illustrations, I want you to take a look at each of the illustrations. In the first picture, the cat is got more human-like eyes. In the second, Jenny Annie dots is depicted with more of a human-type face. And in the two on the right, you'll notice that Jenny Annie dots is depicted or drawn in the illustration as a cat that is wearing clothing. How does T.S. Eliot use personification for the character Jenny Annie dots in this poem? And do you see how these illustrators also personify her? There are a couple of things in the poem that I would like to talk about that you may not be familiar with, and maybe you weren't thinking about when you were doing your illustration. The first of all, what is tatting? Tatting is not something most of us do, and so you may not be familiar with tatting. It says that she teaches them crocheting and tatting along with their music. So here in this picture on the left, you'll notice that she is teaching them, it looks like, crocheting. Tatting is a type of vintage lace work. So in the picture below, you can see an example of what tatting is. In the picture on the right, I want you to pay attention to that one. In this one, it looks like Jenny Annie dots is sleeping at the wrong time. Do you know what the artist did wrong here? Try to remember when the author said Jenny Annie dots is sleeping and when she is active. In our poem, T.S. Eliot says that she is nocturnal or active at night. Here is a copy of The Old Gumbie Cat by T.S. Eliot for you. You can take a chance to stop it and read it for yourself, or go back and get details if you would like to continue to improve your picture by making sure that what you have done matches the story and the characteristics that T.S. Eliot gives us for Jenny Annie dots. This picture is a picture from the Broadway musical Cats. I hope that you've had a chance to watch the first of my submissions for the Cats musical. When you are done with this and you're done with your illustration, I encourage you to go on and find the Gumbie Cat from Broadway's musical Cats. It should be in your Google Classroom link. Enjoy!